hear it and have a massive round of applause for the wonderful Selene Nelson. Come and join us on the settee. Because, I mean, she really had to put up with a lot of stuff. Celine's going to tell us all about herself as well. So thank you for giving her a wonderful, warm welcome.
Hang on, I had to stand up.
Yay!
I'm sitting here.
We still love you, Karin. You know we do, the sleazy vegan. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And I know this kind of like propelled things all out of the water. When you made that initial pitch to the Waitrose editor with some fantastic ideas for veganism, did you ever think that you were going to get a response like that and all of the palaver that came afterwards?
No, I definitely didn't. I emailed Waitrose because they just relaunched their whole vegan range, and they'd been making a real concentrated effort to try and attract like a new vegan clientele. So I thought that if I pitched them, they would probably, if they didn't respond, they'd, then fine, because that's kind of the standard not interested response, is just to not reply. So I sent it to him, and then within like 5 minutes, I got a ping back. So I was so excited. I was like, oh my God, he's interested. And I opened it, and I just saw this response which said, thanks to this, how about a series on killing vegans instead? Ways to trap them, expose their hypocrisy, force feed them steak, kind of went on. And I actually had like a physical reaction because I was so shocked. I started sweating, and my heart was racing. And my partner came in the room, and I couldn't even tell him because I couldn't process it. I mean, I knew he was being facetious when it comes to killing vegans. I didn't think he actually wanted to do that. But I'm still up for grabs on that one now. But it's exposed the hypocrisy. That's not a joke. And I replied and I said, thanks for your thoughts on this. It sounds like you have some interesting opinions. I'm very interested in exploring why some people are so hostile at just the mention of veganism, because I was actually writing an article trying to explore that at the same time, and why some people hear the word vegan and have this reaction. And so that was kind of perfectly illustrative of that. And and it was really strange. And I remember sending it to my friends just to make sure I wasn't overreacting, and everyone was like, so I was like, am I being weird? Is that like a normal response? And then in the end, I decided to, I contacted BuzzFeed, and I said I wanted to write an article about why some people are so hostile, and I wanted to include that as an example, and they wanted to run it as a story instead. It ran, and I had absolutely no idea that it would turn into this big story. Apparently it had over 650 million views.
Say that again.
650 million.
650 million planted seeds for veganism. I think, can we just have a huge round of applause? Because it's not plain sailing. I mean, it must have made you feel, at first, just devastated. I mean, you had that physical reaction. I think I would have been in floods of tears. Would anyone else have, just to get such a hostile, really sad response? But, I mean, the outcome is all those seeds you've planted.
Yeah. Well, hopefully it definitely opened up a topic of conversation, and for me, it did give me a bit more of a platform. That's the strange thing. It's just trying to explore why people get so angry about it and get hostile, and why not eating meat is such an emotive topic.
With the guy from Waitrose, I don't remember his name, I've exchanged emails with him before, but you went out to dinner with him, didn't you? You went out for a bite to eat. It was all set up by the media. I mean, how did you feel, just to sort of wrap that story up, how did you feel when you were face to face with that guy?
I was really nervous. So the first time we actually met, we were shooting something for the One show the next day, and I wanted to meet him before, and they were really cross. They wanted us to meet on camera, and I just thought, I don't want to do that. Like, he did lose his job. He wrote me a very nice, handwritten 6-page letter of apology. It was nice, and he was very friendly in real life, and it was. I really appreciated that, and I thought it was really nice that we were able to kind of come together and say, look, we have different opinions, but let's not like send death threats to each other. Let's not get like crazy on Twitter.
Oh, you.
Yeah. Well, that's the funny thing. It's really strange how we both got death threats, but of course the media ran with the narrative of poor guy who lost his job, like militant vegans, and the fact that I was getting the same level of abuse, if not worse, because William Sitwell and I compared abuse, and he said that I won. Yeah, woo. But people love the narrative of pushy, militant, aggressive vegans. And the thing is, I would never, like, comment, volunteer my opinion. I'd obviously I love chatting about it and having a debate, but I would never say, like, ugh, to someone, or, like, volunteer. And yet I always get that, like, oh, vegan, or why? So it was really telling to see how that narrative ran in the media.
Can I ask you, was there any point where you just wanted to punch him in the face?
Not on our first meeting, but yeah, we did a debate with that. It was really annoying because it was like a 45-minute debate which the One Show filmed, and I definitely won it. Like, and he admitted it, and then they cut it, and so it's basically like a little kind of informal chat, kind of like this, but less fun. Yeah, it was just annoying because he kept coming out with things like, "Oh, you're vegan utopia," and when the air is thick with the smoke of all these hundreds of thousands of bodies of cows, and I'm like, it's not like no one's going to wake up tomorrow and the world's going to be vegan. It's a gradual progression. And he was saying all these like silly points, so that was annoying. And he also, I said, if you just watch one documentary, just watch something, and I think we'll get a lot of respect from people. You know, you're not going to go vegan, but like, just show you're open to it. And then he said he watched a minute. It was Dominion. And he watched a minute of it, and he turned it off because it was propaganda. And I was like, it's hidden camera footage. That it's not propaganda. It's standard filing procedure. You just don't want to watch it because it's not nice to watch. And so that was, that was kind of quite frustrating because it's just, I feel if you're not even willing to look at something and confront the reality, then it's because I think on some level, you know, it's not nice. No one wants to watch that unless you're like a psychopath. So it is strange, and there's a quote I came across yesterday, actually. I'm going to paraphrase because I don't remember it. But it says something like, the hardest part of being vegan isn't food or trying to find food. It's coming face to face with the darker side of humanity and trying to remain hopeful, seeing otherwise like really good, decent, caring people continue to participate in, you know, the harm and slaughter and exploitation of animals, and also often like defend it to the last, you know, like they will just defend it, and they will. This is some people. A lot of people are very open-minded and things, but it's so strange that we are all against animal cruelty. And if it happens, if it's like one person is cruel to one animal, it's cruelty. But if a lot of people in a whole society is cruel to millions of animals, it's suddenly not a crime, or it's suddenly not bad, and the act remains exactly the same.
It's why I love the posters, you know, why kill one and not the other?
Yeah.
Because so many people are passionate about their cats and their dogs, do anything for them, and yet they're quite happy to see a cow or a pig slaughtered.
Yeah, but even with the same species, I think if you saw a pig on the street and someone, you know, walked along and you saw someone stab a pig in the neck, or, you know, everyone would be outraged. People would be calling up. If you do it behind closed doors and then you package up the body parts and sell them for profit, suddenly it's not a crime. Yeah. And like, we know that, you know, you can give an animal the nicest life possible, but the minute you kill a living being that doesn't want to die, it stops being humane, it stops being compassionate, because those words mean kindness, and you can't kill an animal that doesn't want to die kindly. So it is just that kind of strange sense of people being so against animal cruelty and yet still being happy to pay for it. And most people admit they couldn't kill an animal themselves, so they're paying someone to do it for them. And I think, it's very unsettling for a lot of people it is a really hard thing to accept, and I know that because I've been there, and I looked away because it was the easier option. But it's really strange, and you start noticing this more and more as a vegan, but how just, you know, the word is hypocrisy, which is funny because, you know, vegans are always, Piers Morgan, our good friend, you know, called me a hypocrite because I tweeted a bullfighter died, and I just tweeted good, and then live by the sword, die by the sword, Which isn't, okay, it's not very tactful, but it's not hypocritical.
I love that Morrissey song, by the way. Hooray, the bullfighter dies.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
like brilliant.
Isn't
Yes, great.
It's just like, it's not hypocritical. I'm against animal cruelty, and, you know, okay, it's sad someone died, but, like, if you're taking part in the intentional torment of a living creature, I have little to no sympathy. That is, you know, and it's just that isn't hypocritical. It's entirely consistent with my reasoning. And what is hypocritical is people like Piers Morgan, who are up in arms if a lion is shot, you know, or poaching. He's always tweeting about that. Yeah. And that's hypocritical because he's picking and choosing which context of animal cruelty. It doesn't, I know we see it different. I understand that because we have, again, we've been raised not to question what we do to animals. And if it's a lion being shot, we think, well, that's obviously unnecessary. But the reality is they are as unnecessary as each other. We don't have to eat meat to survive. Therefore, it's unnecessary. And like the animal doesn't care if it's a cow or lion, doesn't care why it's being killed. It doesn't care. If anything is worse, it's probably the cow because at least that lion had a good life. You know,
to be fair, the guy's an idiot anyway, isn't he? So you know,
he's on commission with Greggs. I mean, what he's done for Greggs is fantastic. Wonderful PR.
I know, he's amazing. I think he's like a secret vegan.
Anyway, listen, guys, it would be lovely to talk for the rest of the day. It's been really fantastic to have you guys on. But we have got a panel event coming up, haven't we? Which is probably due to start right now. So thank you all for attending this event. Thank you very much to Karin Johnson for the comedy. And thank you very much to Selene Nelson for
amazing.